involving CPS, Children's Protective Services. And I've handled ones where CPS is not involved, but that's the predominance of when our government has stepped in. That really relates to your question. In those cases, I represent the children. I may represent one or both parents or grandparents. People from CPS, that's one reason I get hired in a lot of CPS cases, is I see too many attorneys in my business, and I do a lot of family law in addition to the civil and probate cases, that my words, go along to get along, refuse to fight the system. I have seen, I don't know how many cases where I think the government was way out of line in stepping into people's lives. And I'm one of the attorneys, and I don't know that there's that many around town that will step in and vigorously defend those kind of cases. Because I think, I mean, who better to know what's best for the children than the parents? Now, obviously, there are some situations where you've got parents that, committing crimes and they're on drugs all the time and so forth. But I see a lot of these cases. Perhaps it just needs a little guidance, a little counseling with the parents. And the kids need to be with their parents. Kids need to be with family. And I can't tell you how many cases I've seen where children have been placed in foster homes in a worse situation than they were removed from. I remember a case, I don't know, it was probably 3 years or so ago. I was on a case up in Walker County in Huntsville. The case went to trial. And I represented the father in that case. And his child had been placed in a licensed foster home. And I had the foster mom on the stand. And they were trying to terminate my client's parental rights. And I asked the foster mom, well, what she did for a living. And well, I'm a foster mom. And it took some digging to get this out of her, but she had 11 foster children in her home. It was a regular 3 or 4 bedroom, 2-bath home. It had 11 children there, including my client's child. And I learned during the course of that, she's paid $11,000 a month. $1,000 per child per month to care for those kids. And she's got 11 of them in I believe it was a 4-bedroom home, and her husband and her are there, so I assume they take up 1 bedroom. Yet if my client had had children in that same environment, the government would have stepped in and be taking those kids away because you can't have that many kids stacked in a room. And none of these kids are siblings or anything, so you have no idea what they're being exposed to. So I think the role of our government needs to be severely kept in check there. And all too often, in fact, the morning of the Eagle Forum, I was in CPS court that morning. I'm in CPS court virtually every single week.
So what are the principles by which you define the boundary between parental authority and the state's authority? As a judge, I assume you'll be seeing family law in this court?
Yeah, now, just to be clear, as it currently stands, this court will not hear family law cases. I have talked with all the county court judges, and they are receptive to this court if they have a judge like myself. I'm the only one in this race that has the family law experience, the civil law experience, and the criminal law experience. And that is a tremendous asset for a judge, and it really works well for the taxpayers. So you can adjust dockets if you want to take on a family case. I can hear that case with no problem at all. I've done hundreds of family cases. But I think the rights of the parents have got to be supreme over anything in terms of the government. I think it's
But how do you define that boundary, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well,
what's the principle that you would be guided by in terms of understanding the source of parental rights and understanding where the state would have legitimate authority to terminate them in some way?
And I don't know that I can give a clear, concise answer to that. It's so case and fact specific. But for example, the case I'm on right now, I'm representing a young mother, and unfortunately she's in Harris County Jail. The father of the child is in the penitentiary, and she's about to go to the pen herself. What do you do in that situation? The government has stepped in. There are no viable relatives anywhere. In fact, most of the relatives are perhaps worse than what the parents would be. I've got to vigorously defend my client's rights, the mother's rights, but I've also got to sleep at night in realizing we've got a very young child we're dealing with there. We're doing our best to try to place that child inappropriate home. Foster care is not where that child ought to be at all. I don't know if that answers your question, but it really, each case stands on its own.
As much as you're gonna get. Dale? Question? You have a question?
Yes. To the best of my knowledge, the only office I've ever heard that is subject to term limits is the U.S. presidency. You've indicated that you are opposed to term limits for judge. If you were king for a day, where would you draw the boundary? Are judges the only exception that should be exempt from term limits, or where would you draw that line?
Good question. In terms of judges, which that was a question on the questionnaire. In my experience, any sort of totally non-arbitrary, no discretion issue like that could have completely the opposite of the intended consequences. Let's say you've got a judge that's doing the right thing, following the law, following the Constitution, following our statutes, ruling as that judge should, following all of those guiding principles, treating people fairly, doing that in an unbiased fashion. To say after, let's say, 2 terms, 8 years, that person is automatically out, I have a hard time understanding why we would want to throw that person out when, if we could go the other way and get the voters to turn out in something less than, I think, 9% we had last time, 9.5% or so, voters have the ultimate power to take care of that situation. And I can see that in any office. There are very good people in public office. Unfortunately, there are a lot of others the other way. And once people get in there, like you have to look, I don't have a long way back before you can find any judge in this county that has been defeated, but they choose not to run again, but that a sitting judge has been defeated. Jay made it no better than I do. It's been a long time.
And that's one of the reasons we need the term limits. Betty, question?
One of your big statements on your flyer is that you have had more experience than any of your other opponents. You say business experience and law experience, and I think I've heard you explain it that. But I want to get this clarified. How much? Your work with Shell wasn't with law.
That's
and you didn't
correct.
get your law degree until, what, 10 years ago? Is that right?
I got my law degree, well, I finished my law degree in 97. And then I did not take the bar at that, I was going to stay on with Shell for a period of time because I'd been there so long. And then I actually took the bar, decided I'm going to go into private practice. I don't think I want to start that when I'm 75. So I opened my own practice in 99. And so I'm in my 11th year of law practice.
Of law practice. Okay. And but your work with Shell was what? What were you doing with Shell?
My work with Shell, as I said, my degrees are in electrical engineering. I was hired on the Shell as a geophysicist. I actually started in a management role in my 3rd year with Shell, and most of my career was various management responsibilities in Alaska, continental United States, Gulf of Mexico, Indonesia, Central, South America, and so forth. And I think it's a lot of those experiences. Somebody said the other night in one of the meetings, life takes time. And I think the maturing, the world experiences, the life experiences, I see too many judges that are really not, and I've had judges tell me this, that they were too young when they took the bench. I've had two of our judges, not the most recent, who are very young, say that, but I've had 2 of our long-term judges make that comment.
Thank you.